But sticking in the East, I want to transition into the Hawks because I know we had mentioned them a little bit earlier, but they're on an 8-game winning streak. They just beat the Lakers last night. Um, so I'm gonna start this off. I watch a lot of Hawks basketball because on one of my fantasy teams I have John Collins and Trae Young, and I see the change in playing style from when the All Star break happened until now. Like if you watch the games, you'll see that Trae Young, for the most part, he's instead of scoring, he's doing a lot more facilitating, but he's also allowing others to facilitate. It's no more just give Trae Young the ball and 90% of the offense is what he does, right? Like they let a lot of the other people feature in the offense. Kevin Herter makes plays with the ball. They have Trae Young off balls, running around screens. Granted, he's not shooting. He's still going to the lane, but whatever it is. But just a change in play style. And they're getting John Collins a lot more involved than he was in the first half of the season. So I don't know what the winning recipe is, and I don't know if this is sustainable. I don't know if this is just a matter of, right place, right time, right schedule. But 8 games is 8 games, right? Especially with some of them coming against some of the top tier teams in the league, right? So I'm happy for Atlanta, but like, do you guys think it's sustainable? Obviously not this winning streak, but do you think it's sustainable in the sense that they're going to be able to maintain like a top 4 or 5 seed, especially with DeAndre Hunter on the way back? What do you think, Chris?
I don't know. Like coming into the season, this was one of the teams that I was really high on, and I really did believe that they would be, laying their flag in the Eastern Conference. And them coming into the season just disheartening. You know what I'm saying? And they had a lot of players that was playing well. John Collins was playing his best, but he's still a 20 and 10. That's what you expect out of him. DeAndre Hunter came out looking like their second best player on the entire roster, and Trae Young is still Trae Young. But now what I'm seeing is that what I'm realizing, and this is why I wasn't, fond of them getting rid of Lloyd Pierce, is because they never had their entire team at any point. And even right now, yes, they still do not have DeAndre Hunter, but they're getting contributions from the people that they picked up in the offseason. Danilo Gallinari, as I mentioned earlier. Now Bogdan is now playing like he's not playing like extremely well, but he's a competent body out there that's soaking up minutes that they didn't have before. You know what I'm saying? So like as they start to round in and as they start to get their players, I expect them to make the playoffs. That was what I thought in the beginning, and that's probably why my dude got fired because the expectations was playoffs, and now they're firmly, not firmly, but now they have something to build on towards the rest of the season. So I don't know if they're going to be top five. I wouldn't bet my money on them finishing top five, but I would tentatively bet my money on them finishing in the playoffs, at least in the play-in, and then who knows what happens after that.
What do you think, Kev?
Man, gotta look at trends still. You add Nate McMillan and things go right. Yeah, we can look and say if Lloyd Pierce got this type of contribution from other mans, then maybe he'd still have his job. Maybe they would have went on this 8 game win streak anyways, but we don't know that, right? What if Gallinari's playing well because Nate McMillan's changed offense and there's a bit more movement and now Gallinari's playing well? Bogdanovich, he was literally not doing anything out there. I still don't think he's good. Keep it above with you guys, but he's they're playing way better. Like they're getting contributions all over the place. As Rob said, DeAndre Hunter's on his way back, but I just got to give it to Nate McMillan, man. A man can't continue to do something like we saw what he did for years with that Indiana offense. Every year they didn't have a star, and they just found one. Right? They've Oladipo, Sabonis, and somehow through all the constant change in that roster, they were in first place. Sorry, they're in playoffs and a consistent team. They're an extremely consistent team, a tough team to play, a tough team to beat. He gets fired, and you look at the Pacers now. They've
Facts.
been inconsistent all year. This is the most inconsistent I've seen them, aside from record. Like put record aside, they can't string win streaks together. They're not great on the road. Like it's a completely different team, right? And a man can deem that to talent, whatever it is, but there's also one man that's missing, and now he's somewhere else getting wins. So I think playoffs is definitely realistic. I don't think top five is realistic. So again, like these mans are a game out of eighth right now. So it's great to see, right? I didn't really have them penciled in as a guaranteed playoff team like other people did, but they're definitely playing well, and I hope it continues. Like as Rob said, again, John Collins way more involved. Um, it seemed like they had kind of pushed him to the wayside, and he might get traded. Now they're saying he might not, but They're playing well still. Trae Young just has to be a leader, realistically. Like, we know you can get 30 and 10 any given night, but you got to start to do other things to get yourself better, because pounding the ball for 18 seconds is not going to get it done in this league, unless you're James Harden, realistically.
Yeah, I hear that. My biggest question right now is whether or not, given how he's played and the fact that they said that they're not willing to trade him, does that mean that they're going to give him the max? Because I swear they offered him, like, was it $90 million contract over 4 years?
Yeah, that's the weird part about this is, like, fam, when the man's on his rookie deal, trying to trade him, if man's on his rookie deal and he's good, trying to trade him is damn near impossible, bro. Like,
Yeah, you're not gonna get the value for it.
the return you get to match contracts, like, it just doesn't work up properly. So it's hard to find anything. I've seen that the Timberwolves are interested. I don't know why. Well, I can tell you why. Because they're fucking desperate, because these men are the shittest organization in the league, and the Warriors own their draft pick. So they're desperate. I think the Knicks might kick the tires, but, like, who am I gonna get? Like, if I'm Atlanta, what are you looking for? I guess that's the question, right? If you're trading John Collins, right? You have Gallinari essentially to replace him. You obviously have a big. What are you looking for in replacement for John Collins? Because if we look at this Hawks team, their starting lineup is basically rounded out. Like, so what are we looking for? Are we looking for bench pieces?
Nah, I think you would be looking for like draft compensation, honestly, and because they have Hunter, they have Gallinari, right, and they have Capella. So those three players can fill out your 5 and 4 positions. So realistically, you don't necessarily need John Collins. Like, you actually do not. So like, if I'm them, I'm looking for who's gonna give me which shit team. And if he's gonna get traded, I don't believe he goes to a team like the Celtics. I think he goes to
Nah.
I think he goes to a shit team. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
these shit teams in the league that are saying, we need young talent to like bring that infusion, and hopefully he's the one that can save us out of purgatory. And in order to do that, they're going to have to give you a draft pick, and with that draft pick is when you can go back to your fans and say, listen, we got John Collins, he wanted more than we were willing to pay, we have the replacements for him, so now we have this pick that is lottery bound, and we can surely replace him. I think that's the only way or only path to him being traded.
But hear me out, Chris. This is my problem with some of these organizations, and it's a problem that I have with how people value draft picks. How do you sell to your fan base that I'm going to draft a player that is better than the man giving me 20 and 10? That doesn't make
But
sense
here's
to
how you
me.
do it. No, here's how you do it. Here's how
That's
you do it.
that's
Because
the thing.
it's very easy, honestly. It's extremely easy. Because we haven't won with this guy. You know what I'm saying? And like, man's
That's not fair.
bro,
Still.
we're not, bro, but it's not fair. But that's what all I'm saying is it's an easy narrative to paint. We haven't won with dude.
So
Nah,
they're
You
nah,
can
lying to
give
but
all you
themselves at
can.
that
but
point.
yo, I'm
No,
I'm
it's
saying I'm not
not.
hearing that. I'm not hearing that. If I'm a fan,
But
I'm not
yo,
hearing that. Because, yo, you haven't won with Trae Young either. Does that mean you don't give him the max?
no, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, I'm just speaking from the points.
Ah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah, I
saying
know,
that I agree
I
with
know
it,
you're not
right?
saying that.
Okay.
I get what you're
So
saying. I get what you're
if
saying.
I'm the Hawks, right? If I'm the Hawks GM and I say I'm gonna make this move, all I come out and say is John Collins is a great player. You know what I'm saying? His time here was great, all of that good stuff. But now we have an asset to where we feel like is more malleable and more conducive to winning in the future. That's it.
That's cap, though. I
But
hear you, Chris.
yeah,
I hear
yo.
you. I'm not going at you. That's absolute cap. Because, yo, first of all, you can't promise man that's more conducive to winning in the future, because you literally don't know who that is. To find a man that's as good as John Collins in the draft, period, is next to impossible, unless you're picking first. Let's keep it a buck, right? On top of that, what you said earlier, like, I don't think if you trade him, this is where the issue comes in with Atlanta. For the first time in years, you're firmly entrenched in the playoffs. So now you're going to trade a man that's obviously a contributor to your team, a very big one, and young. You're going to trade him away for nothing. Yes, we agree that they have mans to replace him, but who's going to replace those mans off the bench? And it's hard to make this trade when you're good for the first time in years, because then it kind of looks like you're not about winning this year, or you're not all in on winning this year, and you signed Gallinari to that stupid contract, which told mans you're all in on winning. So I personally think they put themselves in a bad position where now nothing they do makes sense, right? We can look at it and say, okay, you're going to trade John Collins because you don't want to give him the max. Fine, but where else are you going to put the money? And you went and created a team that's supposed to win games. You're winning games. John Collins is a big part of that right now. And now you're going to deal him and say, we're going to get something back from that. Like, a draft pick isn't cool still. Like, especially when you're
All right,
trading away proven talent.
but here's the thing, right? Do you think 90 million from John Collins is fair?
Yes.
Yes. Given the fact that given the landscape of the league and the fact that Jonathan Isaac got 80 mil for playing 30 games in his career, yes, I think so.
All right,
Man, like
so
OG got 80. I understand they're defenders, but fam, like Collins is gonna get that. If he doesn't get it
yeah,
from here, he's gonna get it still.
all right. So, and that's what I'm saying, right? So I believe it is fair. Now, if John Collins wants, I don't know what the max is for him
Yeah,
specifically,
yeah.
but let's just say it's like 110. I don't know, like 105, 110, right? Which is 15, 20 million more than you want to even pay the guy. And you're already putting up $90 million to him, and he's saying no to that. For me now, I'm saying if I'm the Atlanta Hawks, this is why he's even in trade conversations in the first place. Like,
No,
fam,
no.
I'm already extending myself to a certain degree, and I believe that's a fair offer that you should be accepting. And if you don't want to accept that, because what we do know for a fact is the fit between him and Capella isn't the most rosiest fit
But
that you
who's
can find.
better?
And fam,
I'm taking
we don't know
Capella
who's
still.
better. We don't
Honestly,
know
I'm
who's
taking
better.
I'm taking
in that team
Collins.
with Trae,
Fam, Capella is disgusting.
Yeah, but
I don't
he's
know if
also
it's
Capella is
limited.
disgusting, but
He's
like yo,
limited and
everything
replaceable.
that we had wanted.
talent.
When they
He doesn't have
traded
the
for him,
talent.
he's everything they wanted, fam.
Yeah, he's not the talent, but in terms of what he does for that team, that man is an absolute
No,
animal.
I hear that, but hear me out. What I'm saying in this case is, I'm not saying that Capella's not talented. He is good at what he does, but
He's not
is
really
he
talented.
replaceable? Is he
It's much
replaceable?
easier
Bro,
to. It's
but
not.
is he really, fam? He's everything that team wanted. Like,
Is he
that's
replaceable?
not even an understatement. When they traded for him and they had the conception of what Capella can do for that team, he has done everything that they thought
I
he would be
understand
able to
that,
do.
but he is replaceable. You know how hard it is to find a man like John Collins who's putting up 20 and 10 with a tray and a block?
Fam, you know how hard it is to find a man that's going out there 14 and 14 with
Yo,
multiple blocks a night.
let's keep it a
Drummond's
buck. Yo,
on the sideline right
What?
now, eh? Drummond's
What?
available, eh?
I can.
nah,
All
that's
right.
not the same man. Still, that's not the
Drummond is
same man, bro.
actually playing defense. Fam, I can give you a man
Yo,
dropping
Robs,
20 and
I hate
10
when
if you
men
give him
do
the
this, bro. I
minutes.
can't stand this shit. Robs,
It's the
last week we were
Gobert effect. This
arguing.
guy just doesn't rate these niggas, bro.
Last year we were arguing against. Last week we were arguing against. What's his name? Against Drummond. Now don't come switch up moving like that guy's a guy now.
Bro,
Still.
I'm not
Let's
saying that
do
he's good.
bro.
I don't rate the Gobert, Andre Drummond type of players. I don't rate those guys, but I'm
That's
saying they're around. They're
that's
around.
fine. Still, yo,
They
the way I
are
see it,
around.
they're comparable in terms of effectiveness. Like I think they're both hard to replace because what John Collins does to get his 20 and 10 with that type of efficiency, that guy's like a career 38% 3-point shooter. Like it's hard to replace that. It's also hard to replace a man that's going to go out there and anchor your defense and give you 15 and 15 every night and block shots. It's hard, right? So my issue is, I think the issue with this all comes in now is how much money did you give Gallinari, and for the money you gave him, for me to look at you and say you're gonna kind of give Gallo that money, and then it becomes an issue to pay Collins. It's just weird to me because Collins is like 24 years old. He can still get better. And you sign a man like Gallinari. I've been talking about this for weeks. Like, I know I keep beating the dead horse here, but the direction you took doesn't make any sense because now you're in a situation where you have to trade a valuable competitor to your team, and we're all here saying that the most you're going to get is a draft pick. And what are you going to get back for that? An ex Cam Reddish?
That guy sucks.
Well, the story isn't finished on a guy like Cam Reddish.
I understand, but here's the thing: you're winning right now. You already have a Cam Reddish. You don't have time for another man that's 2 years away from being 2 years away. You don't. Not with the money you gave Gallo.
Fam, Gallo is on the books for this year, next year, and then piss him off.
But it's a lot of money, fam.
I'm just talking about money. Like I'm saying, like you make commitments to winning. We know that.
Yeah, and I believe that they can still win if they traded Collins this year.
But
They
yo,
won't be better
Chris,
though.
let me ask you this, right?
Like they
What
may
are
not
they
be
doing with
better,
the
but they
money?
would still trend water around. Like if they get anything anything in relative value for John Collins, I don't feel like they miss a beat.
But yo, Chris,
Because it's not like John Collins has been like spectacular this year. He's on a good stretch right now.
No, but we know why his play had dropped this year. It's just because based on the role. So like, I feel any team that sees him is like, if I put this guy at center or I give him more of a featured role, like he's gonna at least do what he did last year.
But yo, Chris, let me ask you this because this is more where I stand with the Hawks. what are you going to do with the money? And I think people often mistake that point is, okay, yeah, you're saving money, but you're saving money for what? Free agents are not coming to Atlanta because you're not good. You have to prove
Fam,
to be somewhat good.
I never subscribe to that though, because here's what I do know: it's better to have the money than to not.
But have the money and spend
And
it on mans
if
like
I'm
Gallo. You've
Have
had
the
the
money
money in
and
the
have
past.
Collins though.
You've had the
Have the
money in
money
the
and have
past.
Collins though.
They've always had the money.
I rather have the money. I rather have the money than not have the money. And I tied it into a guy where I know for a fact it's not the most beautiful fit. And what's going to end up happening is we're going to try and make it work for a couple of years, and now I'm going to try and change. I'm going to be trying to trade this max contract
But
that
yo,
I'm
Chris,
definitely not going to get anything out of
Chris,
return
but
for.
based everything that you're telling me is that you'd rather cut your losses. See, and that's all I'm saying is you can't explain that to the fans. Still, be real
yo,
with the
all I'm
fans and
saying
explain
is
to them that we
this.
fucked up.
All I'm saying is this: is they've had the money in the past, and you know what they did? They went out there and spent it on mans like Gallo. It's not
And
like
Gallo's
Atlanta never.
providing. Story isn't written on Gallo yet. Like, why are we trying to put
Yo,
things
There's
Chris,
in
no
Chris,
way you're gonna
Chris,
sit
blocks
here
right
and tell
now?
me that
Chris,
the spending the money on
bro,
Gallinari is a wise decision and spending the money on
yo,
Collins isn't,
Chris.
man. You've had the money in the
No,
past,
it's
and you
not
went
even
out
about
and
that.
paid
Yo,
Bogdanovich.
I know we saw Gallo and OKC last year. We know better. That man is out of here just now. Come on, man. Let's not move stupid. Please, let's not do this right now.
Bro, if we get to the playoffs and Gallo performs good, now it's good money spent. Now what are we gonna now what are we telling me?
Is he gonna be there next year? I'm gonna
Fam,
reserve my
if we
judgment.
get to the
So.
playoffs this year and Gallo plays like
You
how
can
he's
say that
playing
about
right
any man.
now,
So if you give John Collins the max and he
exactly. So
plays well,
can we let the process play out with Gallo? That's all I'm saying. We're acting like Gallo is like dead food right now. He's not.
We'll pay man's like OG a bag of money and not pay a man putting up 20 and 10. I'll never understand still. I'll never
yo,
understand.
if Collins hits restricted free agency, it's gonna be a Montic still. I kind of want him to hit it just to see like man's dash the money at him because
150.
yeah,
Yeah, and
because
why would
yo,
you do that? Just trade
because
him. Like what?
The Knicks might take him over Julius, which is fucked.
Fam, even teams like the Spurs might go out there and be like, I'm a try a thing with him. Like there's gonna be
Fam,
mans coming out of the woodworks that
I
are
think
gonna want. I'm not saying he's not talented. Like don't get it twisted. I'm
Yeah, I'm
not
not.
saying he's
I know.
not talented. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be paid. What I'm saying is the Hawks' offer of $90 million is more than fair. If he turns that down and you say as an organization that I'm not going over that budget right there, trade the man, fam.
but yo, this is
Because
my
Yeah.
all
problem,
that's
bro.
going
We've
to end up
seen mans
happening
get
is
paid for
you're going to
less
pay him
production, bro.
and then you're going to trade him.
We've
That's
seen
what's
No,
going
no,
to
mans
happen.
we've seen mans get paid
Rob.
for less production.
Robs, we know the fit doesn't work. I understand that. So obviously their likelihood to pay him decreases with that. I get that. All I'm saying is, in terms of what Chris was trying to explain, the stance the organization should take in terms of we're getting a future asset that's more malleable. That's bullshit. Tell them you're cutting your losses. Don't try and frame it as we're winning here or we're making our team better for the future. Nah, you lost a man that's giving you 20 and 10 for an unknown, for a question mark, and just say that it doesn't fit. It's that simple. Cut your losses. And I'd be cool if I was a fan. I'd rather you lie to me than tell me, oh, this is more malleable. We can get a better play in the future, because that's bullshit. Like, you're not finding a 20 and 10 guy in a draft. And if you go into a draft thinking you are, unless you're drafting first, you're lying to yourself. Because a lot of these first round picks can't even do what Collins has done yet.
Facts. DeAndre Ayton.